Hello, everybody. Chris Ferrone here. I'm wearing my hat as the editorial director of the Boston Institute for Nonprofit Journalism today. And given we cover opioids and recovery and a lot of related issues all year long, today or this month is National Recovery Month, especially. So I'm gonna talk about some stuff that's not so popular that you will not necessarily see brought up at a lot of the vigils and other events that are happening, and that's okay. I'm not here to discourage anyone from participating in a lot of the stuff that goes on. Certainly, we will be participating in some of it. But as a lot of you know, we have been investigating the opioid settlement funds that have been coming into Massachusetts for the past couple of years. And this is a big investigation. We have actually a grant from the Medill School of Journalism at Northwestern University. And just to give people a little background here, money from settlements began flowing into Massachusetts about 2 years ago. An early contribution came in 2021 when the big consultant McKinsey and Company paid $573 million nationally, including $13 million to the Commonwealth to settle claims regarding its advice to pharmaceutical companies on maximizing opioid sales. There's a lot of really negative, evil shit going on here. And you sound like a conspiracy theorist sometimes. None of this is conjecture. This is all stuff, pulled from state documents, court documents, Department of Justice documents. So one thing that really caught my attention last night or in the past week when I've been investigating, we're doing a lot of research on this, seeing where this opioid settlement money is going. And obviously a lot of you are familiar with recovery drugs like Suboxone. Now, I can't stress enough, I'm not here to pass judgment. I understand this has kept a lot of people alive. These are important pharmaceuticals in many regards. But I'm also here to say that we certainly don't hear a lot about Suboxone. We don't hear about some of the negative things associated with it, certainly the way that we did about OxyContin. And I want to remind people that, it's not like this is just the OxyContin makers that are producing this settlement money, which, by the way, Massachusetts will ultimately receive about $1 billion by 2038 for opioid abatement efforts, with about $300 million already dispersed. And by the way, the Boston Institute for Nonprofit Journalism, BINJ, we're the ones that did the Public Information Act, the public information requests, and we're the ones who revealed, particularly reporter John Gerhardson, that less than 8% of that money has been spent so far, or had been spent up to in the first 2 years. So we're about to see some more money. But in the meantime, I'm really interested in Suboxone and this company Indivior, which makes Suboxone, and which the state of Massachusetts just loves. And I'm not even exaggerating. So one thing I came across last night is a settlement. And this is one that actually, I got to say, there's so many settlements between these drug companies in Massachusetts that sometimes I just have to wrap my head around it. So this one, though, this one's particularly interesting because, my friends, it is from 2 months ago. It's from July 10th, 2025. Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Joy Campbell today announced that a nationwide coalition of attorneys general have secured approximately $720 million in nationwide settlements with 8 drug makers that manufactured opioid pills and contributed to the nationwide opioid crisis. Now, as a result of this latest settlement, Massachusetts will get another $17 million. Now, the reason I bring this one up, it's kind of a drop in the bucket compared to the hundreds of millions already coming in, the billion that will come in. But one of these 8 companies that recently settled is Indivior. Now, Indivior is to pay $38 million about nationally over 4 years, and about $1.7 million of that is coming to Massachusetts. Now, this is really an interesting development, especially if you consider the fine print. So check this out. You ready? This is going to blow your mind. Indivior is not having the same punishment as everyone else, as the other 7 companies. So check this out. In addition, this is directly from the Attorney General of Massachusetts' press release. In addition to these abatement payments, the companies, with the exception of Indivior, are prohibited from promoting or marketing opioids and opioid products, making or selling any product that contains more than 40 milligrams of oxycodone per pill, and are required to put in place a monitoring and reporting system for suspicious orders. Indivior has agreed to not manufacture or sell opioid products for the next 10 years, but it will be able to continue marketing and selling medications to treat opioid use disorder, i.e. Suboxone and Sublocade. It's $2 billion drugs. So that's a little slap on the wrist, and that's where they go. And now I want to really remind people here that this is not the first time Indivior has run into trouble, even in Massachusetts. So check this out. This is from the Department of Justice. This is from only 2020. Check this out. This is the same company. Imagine this. Indivior, the company that in 2025 Massachusetts reached a settlement with. Here they are in 2020. Indivior Solutions today pleaded guilty to a one-count felony information, and together with its parent company, agreed to pay a total of $600 million to resolve criminal and civil liability associated with the marketing of the opioid addiction treatment drug Suboxone. Together with a $1.4 billion resolution with Indivior's former parent company, Reckitt Bensinger, announced in 2019. So this is already, in the motion, and a plea agreement with the CEO. The total resolution relating to the marketing of Suboxone is more than $2 billion, the largest ever resolution in a case brought by the Department of Justice involving an opioid drug. Now, that's a national settlement, but check this out. Massachusetts, right in the headlines here. Indivior Solutions, is the 2020 case, pleaded guilty to a one-count felony criminal information charging plus false statements relating to healthcare matters. In connection with its guilty plea, Indivior admitted to making false statements to promote the film version of Suboxone to the Massachusetts Medicaid program, MassHealth, relating to the safety of Suboxone film around children. The resolution includes a criminal fine, forfeiture, and restitution totaling $289 million. I cannot stress enough that it's insane that Massachusetts makes little loopholes for, bends over backwards for companies that it at the same time is suing. And the reason this all came up, by the way, is because it'll take longer. We're gonna have a longer term here. I'm really showing you my reporting because what we're looking at is how much the state spends on Suboxone and so-called recovery drugs. It's obviously millions and millions of dollars. It's not that easy to track. It's through various contractors, service providers. But this is how much we love Indivior. Now you might ask, how does this happen? Why does a company like this get whatever the hell it wants? Well, interestingly enough, we've done some reporting on that, and very few others have. So check this out. Toward the end of 2000, Reckitt Bensinger, which is the parent company we spoke about, they started lobbying in Massachusetts. All right. They spent less than $30,000 in 2008, but they were just getting their feet wet. Okay. By the following year, they ramped it up. They spent $48,000, specifically hiring lobbyists to work on legislation, including issues related to substance abuse. Okay. By 2011, the company was spending more than $50,000 annually and was specifically lobbying on behalf of issues regarding policy coverage for Suboxone sublingual film and overall substance abuse treatment strategy. This is, of course, the stuff that they were later sued for by the state. And it goes on and on. By 2014, it was a full court press. All right, Suboxone lobbyists were pushing more than 10 bills on Beacon Hill. I just want people to understand that it's not like our choice that we have. This is the recovery system here. This was pushed on Massachusetts. And again, there some people benefit from these drugs, of course, but I'm going to explain to you in a little bit why it's not that simple. In 2011, research showed that emergency room visits for non-medical use of drugs like Suboxone were nearly 5 times what they were in 2006. So it's not like none of this was known. Still, the state, bring it on. We're going to sue you. Also, we're going to continue doing business with you. and creating more addicts while we're doing it. And at the same time, at the federal level, Congress is just making it easier and easier for people to access opioid treatment meds. Again, a good thing in some ways. In other ways, that in 2016 they made it so that nurse practitioners and physician assistants can prescribe drugs like Suboxone. They need 24 hours of training. So you tell me. Meanwhile, the federal U.S. Trade Commission was investigating Reckitt Benckiser as far back as 2014. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm sorry, as far back as 2012, but in 2014, Reckitt spun off Indivior as its own company. All right. In 2016, lawsuits came. Of course, we talked about how those lawsuits were settled, but it didn't really matter. I mean, in between 2008 and 2018, the makers of Suboxone spent nearly $400,000 lobbying Massachusetts lawmakers. Okay, the company currently has people lobbying on Beacon Hill, and this is just where we are. I can go on and on about this. Here's let's see, Indivior. So far, let's see, they are lobbying for policy and public funding associated with patient access to medication-assisted treatment for opioid use disorder. And so there it is. There's a company that has done unbelievable damage in mass, paid the biggest settlement in opioid history. Not Purdue Pharma, not all these other companies we talk about. Well, they all paid up too. Don't get me wrong, but this is significant, and this is kind of the thing where it's right in front of us. This is no conspiracy. This is just how it is. The state does business with companies that did the state dirty. We also are working on a piece about McKinsey, the aforementioned consulting company. They also paid millions of dollars to Massachusetts, among other states, for their role in the opioid crisis. And guess what? Massachusetts has millions of dollars of open contracts with them, and it goes on and on. So stay tuned. Boston Institute for Nonprofit Journalism. Thanks to Medill School of Journalism at Northwestern. We're really excited to be doing this series. You'll be seeing features dropping soon. But in the meantime, spread this around. A lot of people want the videos. Here it is. We're going to give them to you as we go. Chris Ferrone, Editor-in-Chief, Binge. Peace.